Now, history, as we define it, hasn't always existed. We've referred the word prehistory, so it hasn't always existed. What has made it possible? Right, now, if we go back to before civilization, hunter-gatherers needed to control sufficient territory to support their tribe. I don't think we'll dispute that one. I don't see that they had to control enough land with whatever they hunted and gathered on it to support themselves. And this would bring them into conflict with other tribes over territory. And in fact, this territorial advantage still exists today. Well, it's more to do with natural resources and actual territory. Now, societies don't experience war and peace, but war and diplomacy. I think that there was somewhere in our evolution, we got to a point where tribes could negotiate, and they would say there'd be a boundary like a river, and they would say, right, on the other side, that's yours, on the other side the boundary is ours, and if we don't cross the river, then there won't be any trouble. And they would do deals. There would be, possibly they would have shamans who would do negotiate, because the Druids used to negotiate for the Celtic tribes. Although that was in an agrarian system. But I think we developed the ability to negotiate so you wouldn't be constantly at war with a neighbouring tribe. You would have an agreement, some sort of truce, and there'd be a boundary or whatever. There'd be some agreement, and you wouldn't. And once you've got to the level where you can broker an agreement, you've got cooperation. So you've got war and diplomacy. Unfortunately, when diplomacy breaks down, you go back to war. When you've exhausted war, you go over to diplomacy. The person who came up with this theory of war and diplomacy was Karl von Clausewitz, a Prussian army officer, who said that each war and diplomacy are an ancillary of each other. There's no such thing as war and peace. But that ability to cooperate, I think, was essential in our evolution. That it's not all war. We can cooperate. Now, this cooperation plus the agrarian revolution. Now, we invented farming, or they invented farming on the Fertile Crescent about 16,000 years ago. It took 5,000 years for agriculture to get from Iraq to here, I believe, at least 5,000 years. So it didn't catch on everywhere straight away. Now, the rise of civilization then made history possible, and history as we understand it, where learning is passed down the generations. The events have happened, events can be studied and learned from, and also the information can be disseminated around the world. I mean, we live in the information age now, but even in the Roman times, learning would be transferred around the world, and there was contact between, say, the Roman Empire and possibly areas outside it. People travelled, and so that the information would be passed around the world. Again, part of our evolution, a sort of civilization forming part of our evolution.